Hey, Jules Blessed Vegan, and as always, welcome to my channel. And for those of you who are new, I know you can benefit. So, people, I just wanted to check in and talk about the icon for this video. And it reads, "Vegan is as in the study of vegan," right? Aren't those all the isms? Vegan is not a diet. It is an ethical position against the exploitation of animals. You know, people always say, "So what do you eat?" "Oh, I'm vegan." So it's presumed that if you're vegan, you don't consume animals, right? And ideally, animal products or byproducts of any kind. But yeah, it's not a diet. Actually, you're plant-based. You're plant-based. You're consuming foods that don't involve animals or animal products and didn't have a mother. As long as it didn't have a mother, you're probably good to go, right? Yeah, and I know people get silly and they start talking about how plants feel too, and it's like, no, there's no spinal cord, there's no, no, sorry, they don't. But animals most certainly do, down to the smallest little creature. They all have a really significant purpose. And to be fair, fruit and vegetables have a purpose too, and it's to feed the human frugivore, right? Which is our most natural form of eating. So veganism is not a diet. It is an ethical position against the exploitation of animals. Animals have a right to exist. God had a purpose for them. He still has a purpose for them. And humans have to be a little less selfish. I mean, my goodness, we feel so entitled. And that entitlement is digging the largest grave in history, right? Because of climate change, largely caused by humans in the last 150 to 200 years. So that's it, man. Why veganism? Because we care. And because every sentient being has a right. And we cannot be their detriment. So one example of that, because people are like, well, can't I just have cheese and milk? Like, what's the big deal? You know? I mean, I get it. You don't want an animal to bleed, but it's just cheese and milk. We don't see the whole picture. That's why. Now, can a little family farm have a simpatico relationship with their animals? They feed them, they nourish them, they have names for them, they cuddle, and they share each other's, of course, I want to say, like, excrement and bovine, secretions. And I don't mean to go there, because seriously, I've mentioned it many times that a lot of my students, but for the grace of the goat's milk, they would have nothing, So there can be a beauty there and a mutual respect there, but we're really talking about animal exploitation through massive industry that, readily puts 20,000 chickens in a space so small they can't even stand, and gives them all of that pumping full of nonsense that makes them grow so quickly that they're full size in less than sometimes 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 10 weeks, when normally it would take 2 years. They can't even stand. Their beaks are often removed so they don't peck and damage one another in that tiny space. They put a fake blue light to try and keep them calm right before they kill them, because they don't want the adrenaline to change the taste of the meat. Stuff like that. Where a cow has its little baby just torn from its teat, like, if it ever even reaches that point. And that those little boys are killed and used for veal because people like their meat to be soft and fresh and fleshy and brand new, right? And then the moms are exploited and artificially impregnated and, forced to work all day long. This is like industrial farming. And then finally, at the 3-year mark, they decide they're not worth anything anymore, and they kill them then. It's not good, people. It's just not good. And the joke is always on us. I mean, just like thinking that we could become an industrial society to our detriment is taking us down. That we could eat meat and have 20 pounds of waste in our colon and cause all these cancers in our body and premature death. That we could consume all the dairy we wanted, and again, largely all female cancers are derived from dairy. So, joke's on us. Left and right, the joke is on us. I think of those places where all the industry runoff has poisoned their waters. Like we're in a situation, an ozone layer that has a hole and is causing, premature cancer, like on and on. Joke's on us. This was supposed to be a balanced planet with grace. I get it. It's not the Garden of Eden. It was never going to be, but everything was available to us. And had we dare limit in our human desire, but I guess you could go back to Adam and Eve in the garden and what their initial desire was as humans, to be godlike, to experience that forbidden fruit. And I guess we're much the same, and it's a difficult responsibility because it's like, why is it my problem? I've been on the planet 12 years. I've been here 24 years. I'm barely 50. Why is it my responsibility? People did this before me. But that's the joke. Sin never stays contained, right? I remember when COVID first hit and everybody was like, oh man, blame it on the Chinese, man. Somebody, intentionally did that. And I thought, it's going to spread and you will be affected by it. So you can either get on with the solution or you can still sit there hating and blaming. And then there was monkeypox and everybody said, oh man, that's the gay community disease, like they said with AIDS. And then all of a sudden, a pregnant mother ended up with monkeypox. And a couple of little innocent children had monkeypox. It doesn't stay contained, right? And by sin, I just mean anything outside of God's will, right? So I'm not like blaming people. I'm just saying it's outside of God's will for us. And if we can be generous of heart and more caring for one another, a lot of these things can be resolved. Almost all human affliction regarding health can be reversed with plant-based diet. That is straight up. Straight up. All right, people. I'm going to get off that soapbox because I'm exhausted. I don't know if I look exhausted. It was 106 today. I was playing soccer. You have a life-size picture of that, I know. Playing soccer with my 6th and 7th graders. Hey, I was pretty proud. I was all over that field. And yay, I'm much better. Thank you for all your prayers regarding that vertigo. It is almost done. I'm at I just have about 30% left. But I'm certain I will be completely healed. Had my anniversary on Monday. It was brilliant. My husband went 4 broke, not even kidding you. It was so cute. He had a ton of fruit, which of course is my heart, waiting for me, and vegetables, and those giant Kent mangoes that are so amazing. And think of a dozen roses with a beautiful card. And I'm like, dang, dude, and we were going to dinner. So then I said, well, let me use the restroom really quickly. So I go in the restroom, another dozen roses, another beautiful card, and earrings and a necklace. And I'm like, wow, wow, wow. Then he got me one of those arrow, where you can grow your own vegetable or fruit hydroponically, like on the counter, one of those systems. So that was a tremendous surprise. And then after dinner, I finally made it to the bedroom, and there was another dozen roses, not even kidding you, and another beautiful pair of earrings and a necklace waiting for me on my bed with another card. Like, seriously, wow, wow, wow. It just kept coming. I know, you're like, Jules, so what'd you get him? Well, our hands are holding hands has always been a thing. I used to tease him about it when we first got together. we had gone on a 16-hour date at Disneyland, and he kept trying to hold my hand, and I barely even knew him. I was really just showing him around, and I was like, what's his deal with wanting to hold hands? And so I kind of teased him and said, are you afraid you're going to get lost, hon? I mean, I'm a master of Disneyland, and to be fair, there were thousands of people. So yeah, he kept trying to hold my hand. Then later in our relationship, he has a magical hand that's super warm, naturally warm, whereas mine are not. And so I just felt like it was a super healing hand. And we have kind of a unique way of how we hold hands. I can't really explain it, but I will be able to show you in time, because it's always been a big deal. After we were separated for a while, before we got married, which is why we've only been married 24 years, and we've been together like 35. I saw him at an airport in Vegas, and we were meeting, and he thought I was going to run because he just felt so old. He looked so different, but not really, but in his heart. And he reached out with that magic hand, and oh my gosh, I melted, of course, and said, I do. We finally got married. And then I went ahead and got this mold, and it's a bucket, and you put in like a plaster of Paris type thing, and you put both hands in there the way that you hold hands, which I'll be able to show you because of that. And then after a minute and a half or something, you take them out, and then you pour in the actual plaster of Paris, and it creates the mold, and then you break off that soft outer coat, and it literally shows every detail of your wedding band. Ours is a rosary, of course, with Jesus crucified, and it shows every detail. So I'll have that like forever, and no, it wasn't very expensive. Like a year and a half ago, it was like $70. I found a different brand, all the same stuff, for like $30. And I told him, hun, it's not the money. It's the brilliance of how this represents our relationship, for which he completely agreed. So as I'm feeling better, and as soon as we get a chance, we're going to make that, and I'll be able to show you. Such a blessing. All right, friends. Anyway, I love you. I wanted to check in. Thanks for being part of my JBV community. That's Jules Blessed Vegan. One more time, veganism is not a diet. It's an ethical position against the exploitation of animals. Sit with that. So like if you like, join us if you haven't subscribed. Let me know in the comments below how I may support you. And until we talk again, best of all, your prayers count. They work. And therefore, I feel blessed.